Hi all! Today I'm going to work on a few concepts of grammar that will help you do the brown bear story or the green eggs and ham story. If you choose that one, there will be some more grammar that needs to be taught to do the green eggs and ham, but you will need these four things that I'm going to focus on today. And if you do brown bear, this should cover all the things you need for brown bear. So that's what I'm going to start with. There's four grammar concepts we're going to talk about, actually probably five. The first one I'm going to talk about is pronouns, because you're kind of going to need that for the brown bear, even though it doesn't have pronoun words in it like he and she. We're going to set up the animals in the brown bear story the same way we would set up people pronouns like he and she and it. In ASL, here are your basic pronouns. Me or I, they're both the same thing. They both mean this person that I am. You, and now he, she, it all mean a third person. So a third person is going to be off to your side, either your left side, I'm still in mirror, so that looks like my right, but it's my left, or your right side, I'm going off the camera, on the other side here. So it's just a pointing finger. It's just someone out here in space who isn't in the room. If that person is in the room, you point to that person. My dog right there on the floor, him. But my mom, who's not here, we're going to put her over here. And then for the rest of that conversation, if you've put someone on one side, it doesn't matter which side, but once you've put them there, don't move them. So I'm going to say, my mom, this person over here, said, what are you doing? And then I'm going to put my dad, and I just put him on the other side, said, where have you been? That's how you do pronouns in ASL. Isn't that easy? There's a little bit more to it, but that's all you need to know for brown bear. Now, going off of that, I'm going to talk about something called directional verbs. In ASL, you can have a verb form that changes its palm orientation and its movement. If you remember that from the colors video, it would be good to watch that. I talk about those things depending on who is doing the verb. So I'm going to talk about look, since that's the primary verb in brown bear, and we're going to say look or see. This is look. See is slightly different. I'll do that in a second. So look is I'm taking my two eyes. I'm like a snail all of a sudden. These are my eye stalks with my little eyeballs on the ends. And my eyes are going to start by my eye and go straight out. I'm looking at you. I can look at my dad, who I put over here, looking at him. I can look at my mom. I can look at my dog down on the floor. That's directional. I can look in different directions, and I'm keeping my same hand shape, but I'm changing the orientation of my palm, going this way, going that way, going this way, and I'm changing the movement, so straight out or to the sides. I can do someone looking at me, which is where this is going to come up in brown bear, is I'm going to take my eye stalks, but now I'm going to give them to this other person. I'm giving them to you. These are now your eye stalks, and you're looking at me. You can look at my dad. You can look at my mom. You can look at my dog. I'm keeping my palm facing toward me because that's your eye stalks, and these are your eyes here, and this is kind of your face. So I want to orient my hand as if it was your face toward whatever you're looking at, looking this way, looking that way. Okay, so that's how to do look in terms of pronouns. So in the brown bear, when we have a red bird looking at me, I'm going to put my red bird over here because it's a third party. I'm not talking to the bird. It's not second person, it's third person. And it's looking at me. So it's looking from this way. The other verb that we use, a variation on look, is see. And it is a different sign. It's a slightly different word. See, instead of having your palm out so that you're actively facing your face out to look at something, see is more passive. I think of it as more passive. You just happen to see it. So you're going to turn your palm in towards your face. What do you see? What do you see? And we're not going to use directional see. We're only going to use directional look at for brown bear. So I'm not even going to talk about directional for see. You're only going to go, what do you see? In fact, I don't think see is directional. You're going to say see. ignore that whole last part. And that's your directional verbs for this one. Now, along with having your pronouns on either side, see how this all builds on itself? We're going to be having little conversations, and we're going to be having conversations between two different entities in this story. So there's the narrator who's saying, brown bear, what do you see? And then we have the various animals who are going to answer that question, starting with the brown bear. So because the narrator is consistent, is a character that's going to consistently be saying things throughout the story, I'm going to choose a side for the narrator to exist on, just like I chose my mom and my dad are on two different sides. I think I just switched them, mom and dad. And then I'm going to make my narrator on one side. So I'm going to turn to my right to be my narrator. This is called a body shift. So instead of full on talking to you, because I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the brown bear, I'm going to shift and I'm going to put my imaginary brown bear over here. I'm going to say, hi brown bear, what are you doing? I'm going to do my eye gaze towards my brown bear. Eye gaze is very important in ASL. It's part of the grammar. So make sure you're not looking at me and talking to the brown bear, because that's kind of strange. You actually want to shift your body slightly. Don't do a full-on like comedy routine where you turn your whole body to have a conversation. You just do a little shift, upper body and your eyes. And I'm going to do a slight downward, because I'm going to say all these animals are slightly lower than me, because I'm king of the animal kingdom. I'm going to look down. If you happen to be talking to a giraffe, you would probably look up. This is relevant. You think about where the eyes of the creature that you're speaking to are. So body shift slightly, and every time I do the narrator position, I'm going to shift to my right, which would be your right when you're copying me on this mirrored video. And I'm going to say my question. I'm going to say, brown bear, what do you see? We'll talk about how to do that question in a minute. Now the brown bear is going to answer me, so I can't be in my narrator position anymore because I'm no longer the narrator. Now I'm going to switch, and I'm going to be the bear. So I'm going to make the animal be to the left. Now since each animal only speaks once, and then at the end the children speak once, and so on and so forth, I'm going to just recycle this second position each time. I'm going to set up who's in that position with my narrator. I'm going to say, brown bear, red bird, purple cat, or whatever all the animals are. Each time I'm going to label this position so that people know when I switch, I'm now being the brown bear, or the red bird, or the purple cat. And then I'm going to answer, and because I looked down, I'm establishing that this creature is lower than me on the three-dimensional plane here. The creature is going to look up to answer me, so I'm going to make sure that my eye gaze goes up, and I'm going to say, I see a white dog looking at me. And I'm probably gonna put the white dog kind of over here, because now that I'm in this position, I have this space and this space to put my pronouns. And I'm gonna put my white dog over here so that when I shift positions, white dog is still over on this side, if that makes any sense. So when I answer, I'm gonna say, I see a white dog. And see that directional verb? Looking at me. You're not looking at me. The white dog over here is looking at me. You as in narrator. So that's how we're going to do this. So we would start out, brown bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. Red bird, what do you see? I see a green frog looking at me. That's how that's going to go. I don't actually have it memorized, so I'm probably making up animals and colors, but ignore that part. So now we have covered pronouns, directional verbs, body shifting, and eye gaze. Now the last part I want to talk about for this is WH questions, which we have discussed in class, but I don't know how thoroughly people feel that they understand that or remember that. WH questions are who, what, where, when, why, how, what are you doing, and for, which means why. The grammar that goes with a WH question, just like in English, when we're speaking English, in most regions of this country, our intonation goes up at the end of a question. Where are you going? kind of a little lilt at the end there. In order to show that you're asking a question in sign language, you have to show it with your facial grammar. For a WH question, your eyebrows go down. This is an inquisitive eyebrow furrowing. Your mom, where? And the eyebrow expression goes for the full sentence, not just pop it out for the last WH question. Where your mom, I went where for the where part, and then your mom, I went blank. That's not how it works. You want to cover the entire sentence. And a lot of people have a lot of trouble with getting their eyebrows to go down because our voice goes up, so we want our eyebrows to go up. That's a different kind of question. That's for a yes or no question. That's not a WH question. So really practice being aware of what your face is doing when you're practicing your WH questions. Unfortunately, in this little story, it's a pretty limited range of expression, and you can really focus on making sure your WH question facial grammar is appropriate. You can choose to put a WH question at the beginning of a sentence or the end of a sentence. For most of you, it might be easier for you to put it at the beginning, signing this story, because that's the way the story is told. What do you see? And I tend to reverse it, but you don't have to. So I tend to say, you see what? And notice that my eyebrows go down at the very beginning of that sentence. You see what? The whole sentence. I don't go blank. You see, and then pull out my eyebrows for what? The whole thing. You see what? Obviously, you can say, what do you see? Just make sure either way you do it, eyebrows are down for the whole sentence. That's how you do a WH question. And that's about it. I'm going to do a second video so I don't totally pack this one out beyond the time limits of YouTube. Actually signing the entire brown bear story so that you have a demonstration of how to do it. But I'm going to do that on a separate video. So hopefully this was helpful. I will see you all shortly, and have fun practicing. Ta.